Hey everybody, Chris Lindsay here, and you're listening to Pitch List. Join us on a deep dive into the heart of what makes writing songs and making music so magical. Let's find out what makes songwriters tick, and along the way, remember why we love music. Welcome to Pitch List. Hey everybody, Chris Lindsay, and it's good to be back after a couple weeks in sunny LA. Thank you, Dana, for handling all the intros. You did a great job. Our guest today has had big cuts with Rihanna, Christina Aguilera, the Veronicas, Celine Dion, and Cher. In addition, her own records are mesmerizing and simply fantastic. Her vocal will knock you out. In 2014, she was dropped by Warner Brothers Records and then turned right around and clocked over 1 billion streams on her song Lost on You. She's a native New Yorker now living in LA, and in the immortal words of Spinal Tap, she goes to 11. Here's LP. Good afternoon. Chris here. We've got an incredible guest this afternoon. I'm looking out the window. We've got a stormy afternoon here in Nashville, which I think is just perfect. And our guest today is LP. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm just I'm looking at the sunshine as usual.
Yeah, sure. Tell us what are you in LA?
Yeah. It's just another beautiful freaking day here as usual.
As usual. I'm looking forward to going out there soon because the weather's so nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm an East Coast person, so I never even dreamed I could live I don't know. I just never even thought about moving to the West Coast for some reason. And then now I have a house here and I'm pretty set.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was going over all your stuff last night. So you were born in New York, right? Long Island.
Yeah.
So you are you're an East Coast person and you I didn't know you could I didn't realize you could just pick up and leave the East Coast and move to the West Coast. It didn't occur to me. Well, I know a lot of East Coast people, especially New Yorkers of that area. Yeah. They're pretty fond of their area, as they should be. It's great. Yeah, I was reading, I'm really curious about this. So it said your mom was an opera singer. Is that right?
She sang opera. Yeah. She studied opera and sang opera when she was young. She's passed away, but she is, she was, responsible for exposing me to a lot of opera. And then I started my first training was at Carnegie Hall and stuff, and with an opera teacher. It was really just scales. It's kind of what I still do today. I've gone through. I still work with a teacher now, and kind of because I have to keep my shit shit going, because I have to warm up all the time and everything, because I sing pretty hard. So.
You do, and you have an amazing voice. That's what I was wondering, if you were classically trained. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trained. You can't, in my opinion, you can't kind of keep that kind of level of range and stuff going, forever and that much on the road if you don't do all the. I mean, I can't. I don't know. I'm sure people can.
I think it's common. I played in bands back in my 20s, and I saw more than one singer just crash and burn within about a week on the road, because touring is rough on singers, man. Really rough.
Yeah. You find yourself getting super jealous of your guitar players and bass players, because, for one thing, they can hang on the road more and party more on the road more.
Yeah. If you're the bass player and you've got a bad cold, it really isn't going to affect your show. Really.
Exactly. I mean, that's one thing. That's what I think the training and all that has done for me, because I could talk all day, when I've got press and everything, and I'm fine. The real nemesis for me is I'll get acid reflux sometimes, and that's the worst. And I've had it for years at a time. It's wow. I mean that's the biggest enemy for singers, man. It is.
So I want to talk about, we're a songwriting podcast and definitely want to talk about your artist career, but I'd also love to talk about going through your resume. You've had a lot of big cuts, like really great stuff. Do you consider yourself a writer separate from being an artist?
I think they go hand in hand. I don't think like for me, I mean, for a while in between, like the, let's say the, fourth and fifth record deal, the third and fourth major label deal, I was on a 2-year like songwriting thing where I didn't think I'd get another artist thing going. So that's when I was like really kind of like just free falling into the being a songwriter period, and that's when I think I realized how well, I mean, I always knew how important it was, but it just kept growing in importance. And I also like, I mean, I knew I could sing, I mean, listen, it's like, maybe not everyone's taste, whatever, but I feel like, like, yeah, I knew I could sing well, but songwriting was really the thing that held mysteries for me, like on how to really kind of get to the crux of the emotion and the message and everything, like in like economically, and I just really, I don't know, when I was songwriting for other people only, I just really tried to like branch out and do different genres, and like even like, when I got the Rihanna cut, I was so happy because I just was like, never imagined that I'd get a cut with her, because I didn't really, I think people consider me more like, alternative or like, pop rock or something like that,
Right.
But I feel like I stretched it out a lot, and it helped me as an artist, and then I think they're inextricably wound to each other, artistry.
Yeah, that seems, yes. And the Rihanna song was called Cheers, right?
Yeah.
Huge song.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've answered this, but I'm asking you more specifically. So going in that period as a writer, were you always writing for yourself or were you aiming at Rihanna?
No, that one was aiming at Rihanna. That was
Okay.
like a Rihanna songwriting camp per se, but now I kind of just like, I just keep writing songs and like, Celine Dion put one of them on her last record, Courage or whatever, and that was just a song I was like holding to possibly be on my next record. So I feel like I just try to bank songs as much as possible, like,
Yeah.
because when I was writing for other people, it kind of really got like a structure at that time. I don't do that anymore because I'm just like, I feel like I just can take breaks and then I just pop them out really fast. But I feel like it got to be a job, like I went in, I had like a session every day or two. And I just, whether I felt like it or not, I had to write, like they don't really, songwriters don't get like a break, like, oh, you don't feel inspired. Oh, you're not in the mood. You just had to, you had to just write. So really that kind of helped me, to not, fuck around.
Yeah. I think it builds muscles, and even though sometimes it's tough when you don't feel it, it does give you muscles and skills for your own thing. I think it is good. Plus it gives you so much more, I think, more credibility when you've got these big artists recording your songs,
I mean, I think so too. It's like, it's very, I know. I think, first of all, I think it keeps me fresh as a writer. You know what I mean? To like kind of think of other people sometimes, and and I love working with bands. Like I have a song with Spoon on one of their records a record or two ago, and the Kooks, and that's always fun too. Like having working in a band scenario with someone. I don't know. I just like, I think variety keeps me going.
Absolutely. Who are your early influences in music?
Very classic shit, like Queen and the Stones and the Beatles, Nirvana, Green Day, Jeff Buckley, Roy Orbison really came into play. I don't know, like, because I like all that like kind of bombastic frontman kind of stuff. and then I also like that kind of, I don't know, troubadour. I mean, Bob Dylan and all that, but like, that kind of, like, I feel like Roy Orbison and Kurt Cobain are similar in some ways. You know what I mean? With their kind of like kind of looking off into the distance, kind of breaking your heart, kind of thing, in different ways. I don't know. I just think that I love that. I love that classic shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I
and
love,
you like the front man stuff. Like
yeah, exactly.
Mercury,
Like,
who
yeah,
was one
exactly.
of the best singer all the way around, but also just an incredible front man. My wife's a huge Freddie Mercury just freak, and I love him too. But we talk about it all the time. He's a gay man, but he was so incredibly macho on stage.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. You got a bunch of men like that love that band that weren't gay, following
Correct.
a band called Queen with a gay front singer, and not even questioning whether he was gay or not. That shit is hilarious and amazing.
Yeah, I was a kid. I remember it just never really occurred. And then I remember hearing one thing maybe in college. It's like, well, yeah, he's gay, and you're like, what? And then like you said, then you're like, wait a minute, it's called Queen, and yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, it's so precious that no one knew. But yeah, the other end of the thing is I really enjoy, there's another leg of things with like Nina Simone, Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like those singers are also a big deal. Like, Nina Simone and Aretha Franklin, being great writers as well. I'm not sure about Chaka's writing, but she can really fucking sing for sure.
She can sing.
I don't know, like she must have written stuff like that.
Yeah,
but like Joni Mitchell, I feel like all these different people taught me different parts of my voice.
What about Celine Dion? You said you got a cut. Have you always been a fan of her?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know if I emulated her as much, but her voice
She's
is
an incredible
unbelievable.
singer.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
First of all, I don't think anyone could emulate her, but she's I mean Barbara Streisand, like that whole my mom loved Barbara Streisand, and Celine's an incredible voice. I like that clean, high stuff,
Well, your stuff's like that, sort of operatic. I love the Roy Orbison reference. I totally get that. You have that sort of ethereal, sort of dreamy, high, I don't know, like lonely sounding a little bit. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of emotion. Like that's the thing about voices that's so fascinating, is that when one hits you, you just don't know. Like it's like Jeff Buckley for me. It was like, Jesus, wow, like what the hell is happening? That's the wonder of voices. They're so like they can be so unique and like just like absolutely cut you to the bone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the great singer, right? Just to make you feel emotion, make you emotional to where you feel them.
Yeah. And you don't know. And, sometimes you have no, you can't describe why.
Right.
There's no reason, behind it. You couldn't like really, put your finger on it.
Hey, I have a sheet of a bunch of stuff about you, and we love to talk about adversity on the podcast because I think a lot of the listeners are on the front end of their career as writers. The one that really stuck out to me says you were dropped by Warner in 2014 and then turned around the next year with your own single Lost on You that did 1 billion streams. Is that
well? Yeah, like this is the best story I could tell for any like young songwriter, because I mean it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. I don't like to do that anyway, but I didn't have to get like so much pleasure out of this story, because I just felt like I got so much more pleasure out of just making my career being made.
Mm-hmm.
But I went in and played them Lost on You, which was my my point of entry into much bigger things, really. I had, indie success for a while and obviously songwriting success, but that song was the one that really took off. And I played that song and two others, which were also one, like Muddy Waters has been synced like, I think like almost like 40 times. It's like literally, and that sync, actually, the first sync I got with my new deal with Vagrant after Warner Brothers dropped me was like paid off my entire deal. Wow. With Vagrant, you know, and then 2 years, or I think 3 years after releasing it, Strange got a massive national Samsung commercial, and you know, so these three songs I played for Warner Brothers, and they dropped me in January of 2015. Actually, you know, it was all new. It was like, you know, Jeff Fenster and Rob Cavallo, when Rob Cavallo was chairman of Warner Brothers, signed me in 2011, and then when, you know, new people, when Cameron Strang and Dan McCarroll took over, they didn't get it, you know, and I went in and played Dan these three songs, and he was just like, "That's great. Can I play a song?" Like by some other random person. But and then 3 weeks later I was dropped, and I was like, wow. But you know, I will tell you, and here's the fun part, is that, you know, I had there was no expense spared for, you know, the making of my record, which was like, you know, overproduced and underpushed. But I had a $1.6 million bill when Warner Brothers dropped me, and that goes away.
Yeah.
So then 3 months later, I'm signed to Vagrant, and then actually another probably year later, I'm having a massive, like, you know, European hit and touring, and I haven't stopped since. So you know, I tell that story just so people can understand that, like, you know, just because one dude doesn't dig it and doesn't get it doesn't mean, you know, that it's over. And I think, and also I believe in volume of songs, you know what I mean? I feel like keep cranking them out. I mean, I was probably 30 to 40 songs past Lost on You when it became a hit. You know, I know Whitney, I didn't have any, you know, people would ask me, like, these amazing, like, journalists in Europe would like be like, "So you must have known when you wrote Lost on You." And I was like, yeah, no, I didn't know anything. I was dropped from my label, from a major label, after playing them that song. So I didn't know anything, you know? And so, you know, but I think that story is like one of my, you know, best things I can tell people, is because, you know, because I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it breaks my heart to think about all the people that didn't see the light side of that story, that, like, you know, that was the end for them, you know, because Warner Brothers was at that time my third major label deal, my fifth deal, you know, and I didn't think I was going to have another wave. Hell no, you know? So, yeah. But it, you know, you just keep writing songs. I feel like that's the thing about being a songwriter, is that it doesn't matter. You know, you write a hit, all you have to, like, all anybody's going to want from you is another hit. So you better just keep writing them, you know?
And you're always one song away. No matter where you're at, you're one song away. Yeah,
and I saw it so many times with all my friends and colleagues, you know, when I was songwriting, and still I see it, you know, like you know, my managers, I've had the same managers since 2011, and, you know, we're a tight family, you know, Mike Del Rio and Nate Campy, two of my main collaborators. Mike Del Rio produces the record for the most part, and Nate has a whole side thing with another person, and he writes songs for all these amazing people, and, you know, and I just watch him, you know, get all these cuts, and many people, like Dan Nigro is part of my is managed by my team as well, and he just, you know, he's the guy that wrote and produced the Olivia Rodriguez shit, you know.
Wow.
And you know, I have a song with him on my record, my upcoming record, you know, and we've all known each other for years, you know, and we've been like going at it, you know, and nobody stops, you know, and gladly we don't stop. Like it's just like kind of part of what we do. So it's you know, it's a nice atmosphere. It's inspiring to be around people like that. And so I think we all feed off each other, like, you know.
It's a great piece of advice, because also I think when you plow ahead and just keep working, it also takes your mind off of, you can get excited about your new material, maybe forget about anything negative. And then the other thing I love about the story is, you know, it's Warner Brothers Records who clearly just made a massive mistake, you know. And I understand that's not part of your story, and I love your take on it, because really your deal, if you were with them, you'd have to wash $6 million of red ink You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I still,
So
I'm basically
geez.
living in, I'm living in a house that was that, that
Yeah,
debt,
right.
you know, and it's like, and, you know, and
Yeah.
it's possible. And it's, and I, you know, I just would encourage people to, and you know, what else is just like beyond the business bullshit and all that stuff, you know, writing songs, like continuously, like, keeping on writing, is how you hone your craft and your skill. I mean, it's obvious, obviously, but there's another thing that happens as an artist. I mean, you know, I don't know if this happens if you're only songwriting for other people sometimes, because, but as an artist who writes songs, I feel like I'm really only I, and it's a pleasure to do it, and it's interesting that only I know how much better I'm getting, you know, and it's interesting. I could see myself, I could feel myself like trimming the fat off songs and really like, you know, and knowing that like that melody that's unnecessary. Like this part needs it. Definitely needs another part, this song. Otherwise it's on repeated listens. It's going to be brutal, you know, like just like, it's like all these things and they're happening faster and faster all the time. And I feel like it's interesting and fun and I don't know. And I think also I got a unique sound for myself because I think even like I think one of the problems in my earlier days with labels was that they couldn't find my direction per se, you know, and really you always have to, I think, do that yourself. But I think even my music today, I think people have a hard time explaining what genre it is, you know, like it's, and I think that was just something, that's how I was. And that's why songwriting kind of took off more for me at first for a little while, because I was able to just like do anything I felt like, and, you know, throw myself in different rooms. And then it became who I was in a way. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
No, it makes perfect sense. That experience of you being free and not being tied to a specific image or idea of yourself from you or your label let you kind of find out who you really were.
Yeah, right? I was kind of relieved almost when I was like when I got out of my like second major. I was on IDJ and then Universal with Sobe, and I and then I got a songwriting, you know, I got a publishing deal, and I remember kind of being a little, I didn't know what I was in for, because it's like being a songwriter is a real hustle. Like if you're just songwriting, but I still felt like just a little bit relieved. I didn't have anybody breathing down my neck for like what I looked like, or, you know, like, you know, what my fucking, you know, direction was going to be, my image and all that stuff. And, you know, what was going to be the first single, you know, like I didn't have to hear those words again, you know, and I was like, oh, this is nice, you know, and it appealed to like, you know, as much as I love being a front person, as much as I love being like the Mick Jagger in my band, I'm like, I would be much cooler with like being like Keith Richards or the guy off the on the stage, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I like that too. Like, and so like sometimes it's, you know, it's really nice not to have the pressure of being looked at and all that stuff, you know? So, so that, you know, but I will tell you that lasted almost 2 years. And I think I might've gotten sick of it after a while, you know, but so I feel lucky that I got to sing again. But that alleviated some pressure. And I think when I dove headlong into songwriting without any thought at all, like I truly thought my artist thing was done. But like, so I got this like free fall, like I said, into songwriting. And I just was like, oh, wow, I don't have to follow anything. And that then did me a great service later.
Yeah. I totally get it. We're in Nashville here, but I've seen that before. The same type, you know, it's a different genre, but the same type of story where an artist has trouble sort of defining, and then they've got a label kind of fighting them and trying to push them in an area, which never works. And then finally they just get chewed up a little bit, get into songwriting, and it gives them the freedom to sort of do whatever they want to do. Cause it's, you know, good rooms that you're in are experimental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're not trying to do all that. I'm trying to find, I read a quote that I loved, and I want to make sure that I got this right. It was on another bio site. Did I read that it says, quote, your parents didn't get it when you wanted to? Is that true?
Well, I mean, they, they got that I could sing. I mean, they didn't like get to see, really. I mean, I think my dad saw a couple of gigs before he passed away, like where, and because he always loved my voice. My mom knew I could sing. Everybody knew I could sing, but it was just, I come from a family like, second generation kind of immigrant kind of thing where everybody was just like, striving to like go to school and be doctors and lawyers and all that bullshit, and which, I mean, it's great, but I feel like and I didn't know where to begin with this thing, you know what I mean? I didn't know where to go. And so, yeah, and they were like, my father was like, you can't make money at entertainment, you know what I mean? And, I did. I do.
But I've always been interested, people like you, that even though you're getting that information when you're young, you still do it and you still make it. And
well, it was hard. I mean? Yeah. I mean, it was really hard to get, to like, because I think I didn't believe it for a while. Like it was so, getting through in this business was so like, I couldn't wrap my head around the reality of it, even though something kept driving me and telling me that, I don't know, I remember this specific moment. I don't know what it was, like on a songwriting trip or something. I just felt like this would be the most, like, as far as anything that I was capable of doing, this might be my best thing if I could do it. Like it might be the way I have make the most money, make the most spectacular life. And I don't know, something just kept driving me like that. I think, and I'm glad I listened to myself, and it was really hard. Even studying voice and going to writing sessions and stuff like that gave me a structure in a very structureless business. I think that's the hardest part for a lot of young people that want to get into it. They don't know where to begin, and I don't even know where to tell you where to begin, except like with the writing songs part. But like, I mean, I happen to be lucky because I was always had managers and people trying to get my publishing and stuff like that. Like after I got my first record deal, but I'm not sure how to give advice for like how to get into that part. But I think that like, just writing songs can be a structure for you, just writing songs, meeting people.
It sounds like you like to collaborate. I think collaboration with the right people is I learned as a writer more from that than anything I learned from anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I love it. And it's just so like, it's so interesting to see how other people do stuff. You know what I mean? Like that was one of the biggest thing. I also kind of, low key, I was like sitting at the feet of these giant songwriters when I first, my first, 2006, my first major label with IDJ. And I was like, I was in a room with Billy Steinberg, who wrote like, True Colors and Like a Virgin, I'll Stand By You. And I drove all night, crazy. And Desmond Child, who wrote like Living on a Prayer, and, La Vida Loca, like crazy shit, Holly Knight, who wrote Simply the Best and You Better Be Good to Me and Love is a Fucking Battlefield, Jesus. All these people. I'm sorry, is it too much cussing for you guys?
No, we cuss. It's all right. So what was that like? Were you intimidated or did you stand your ground or was it a little bit of both?
Yeah. I was terrified, but and the cool thing was, they were very kind to me and I knew they worked with me because of my voice. You know what I mean? Like I was, they definitely were like, hold on a second, which made me feel good. But it's funny, I was just on the cover of Spin magazine this month actually, and
congratulations.
They did an interview. Awesome. Thanks, man. They did an interview. This woman Sarah Grant did this really great interview, and I heard some of the things that like that. That these guys said about me. And I was like, wow, like, I wish I knew that at the time, like that they thought like, that they thought songs of mine were great or something like that, cause it was like, I was, when you say, boys, it intimidating. Now I look back and I didn't think I was, but I definitely was. And it was like, I was in the room with Andreas Carlson, who like had done that whole huge In Sync album, the day that like, record sales had crashed another 25%. And they were talking about how, the business is over, you know what I mean? And how like songwriters weren't going to make money anymore. And, and for a while, I think they were right, you know what I mean? And it's still not like, it's not the days like when they were alive. If you got an album cut on a Madonna record, you still made millions of dollars. You know what I mean? That's changed considerably, but it's still, it's still viable, and I don't know. I think I got so lucky with like the rooms that I got in. That's all I have to say. I mean, I even I have a song on a movie called Puppy Love. It's called Nothing. Oh God, I'm forgetting the name of it. Nothing Matters but the drugs or something like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I wrote it with Butch Vig, and I wrote a bunch of songs with him, and I mean, holy shit, and it's so wild because you'll be with like someone like Desmond Child in a Central Park West penthouse, and then writing a song, and then suddenly be in Butch Vig's cool Silver Lake house, like writing a song with this guy who did Nirvana records. Holy shit, so I just like. I made the rounds, man. I've seen some stuff, and it's fascinating to see how people work. That's all I can say.
We'll be right back with more LP. Do you like to start with music or start with lyric, or do you kind of do it together or always?
I mean, that's a really golden question. I mean, my biggest thing that I think I collect like titles and concepts, and I feel like I've gotten very good at once I have a concept, like it could sound like a very generic thing, but I can then but if I know the concept, like I had a song called Other People, that's from one of my records, and it's like one of my favorite songs I think I've written, but and the title is like not Other People. That's not like some profound thing, but I felt like I knew what I wanted to talk about in it, and I definitely songs go much quicker when I have the concept. But I do go for we work on the music and the melody. I like to and sometimes when I have a concept, I feel like the melody might I might where I put the melody is driven by that, like the tone of it all, but I usually, like Billy Steinberg likes to write lyrics and then mush them into a melody, like a song. I don't really like that. I like to keep it open-ended, have a title, have a direction, and then get my melodies going, so.
That's a very Nashville way to write. That's the typical Nashville songwriting method.
Yeah, music, then melody, then lyric.
Well, just, no, actually the concept. Starting with a concept or typical Nashville songwriting thing, get in the room and pitch titles, and which would be ideal, really.
Exactly, because that it's inspiring. It can and I think like we were saying when you have that melody sometimes comes out of this really esoteric place. You know what I mean? It's like it's like you're talking about this thing, and all of a sudden this melody comes through, and you're like, that makes me feel like this concept,
Yep. And if you have a concept, I think also you don't go down the dark alleys as much. You know where you're going, and you've got something to sort of measure everything to. Like, is this all working together? Yeah. Yeah. Totally. It's amazing to me how much pop rock writing is now more similar to Nashville country writing. Yeah. Have you written in Nashville before?
I have, I've done some shit in Nashville for sure. Yeah, I used to go to writing trips there all the time. It's different, but I mean, also just with how early you guys like to write. It's like 11 o'clock, please. I don't do 11 a.m. What?
Hey, it used to be 10. When I started, it was 10 a.m., man.
When I was a kid, it was 10.
It was 10. Yeah. And I remember thinking, what the fuck are we doing? We are not farmers, man.
exactly. I'm like, what are we trying to catch here? You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, is it better lighting at this time? Like, what? Who did this?
I'll tell you what it is. Well, I had played in bands forever, so I wasn't even used to getting going till 8 o'clock at night as far as my head, but I think here it's just a family thing. Everybody's got kids, and so they got to pick up the kids and go home.
Yeah, which is cool,
early. They get up, so everybody in town's getting up at 6:30 to get their kids to school, so they're ready by 11.
And listen, man, he gets me to the bars at 6, which is great.
But what time do you like to start writing?
I like 2, and like all my people probably be like, yeah, and then you roll in at 3:30. But I like 2 or 3 o'clock, and I like to go till about 8 or 9. I think like I don't like to like but when I write, I like to now my major thing for me as an artist in my artist shit is I take us on trips. I go on trips, man.
That's great.
Like I like to like the last few things. This last record was like, I was in between tours, and Mike and I holed up in this in Athens, at some very nice hotel, and just like
Athens, Georgia, or Athens, Greece?
Athens,
or Georgia? Where?
Athens, Greece.
Okay.
Yeah. And and then we continued like 6 months later or 5 months later in Cabo, San Jose, and that was great. Like that's when I like we kind of just like go for like 2 weeks, and we start working at like, gosh, I don't know, somewhere between 3 to 5, and then end at around 2 a.m. And it's just like, and it's super fun. Like it's like a vacation and a writing thing. I like to get wild. It's fun.
I like it too. We used to, back in the day, we would go down to Key West. That's what everyone does here.
Oh, that's fun.
And plus I always thought you could write so much better down there. You
must be the ghost of Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah. But down there, you'd work like 2 or 3 hours. You'd have the song done, get back on your moped. And
nice.
I love that, man.
That's dope. That's a food for thought right there. I've never been to Hawaii. I feel like I want to go there, but I don't know. I'm not sure where the next one is. I did like it was super fun with Palm Springs. I got a lot of shit out there. I don't know. I like to see a little different scenery when I'm like trying to squeeze thoughts out of my head.
Yeah, man, it's a different vibe. You're in a whole different atmosphere. I think it completely, maybe it just jumbles up your perspective, sort of helps you kind of get out of your normal thing.
Yeah, like even like when we went to Mexico, we came home, I wrote this song. We got this song called The One That You Love. And that one was like, we were out to dinner, and there was this amazing like ranchero dude singing songs with this little guitar. And I don't know, it totally worked its way into our shit that night. Wow. You know what I mean? Wow. And it's just like, all the different like flavors all over the world. I think it really, even like when, One Last Time, that song America, that's like, da, 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 we wrote that in Greece, and Mike had just bought this mandolina, and oddly, he brought it in Brussels on tour, and then we had it in Greece. So I believe it's a Greek instrument. And it was like, I don't know, that song, like, I don't know if that song would have popped out in America. You know what I mean? It's decidedly not American sounding, but like, who knows? I mean, I don't know. It was, it's just like that. That's the thing. Like, and I could also get inspired in a room that has, I mean, I've had those great writing sessions in the like BMI building where you're just like 4 white walls, me with a guitar, a computer, and, some guy from Germany, it happens all the ways,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you never know. You never know what the chemistry is going to be. You never know.
Yeah. I have you have those ones where you're like, you get to the session and you're like chatting with the person and you're having a great time. And you talk for an hour, you walk out, you get coffees and you come back and then you sit there and you're just like crickets, nothing. And then you have these sessions where you're not even sure if you can stand the person for the next 3 hours and you write a smash. It's like, what the fuck?
I've had it happen early in my songwriting days. I wrote with an older writer who was kind of a know-it-all, and I was new, and the guy was just an absolute dick all day long. And I walked out of the saying to myself, not to him, but I said, I don't care if this song goes number one. I will never write with this son of a bitch again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just an asshole. And it did. It went number one. And I never did.
Oh, here's the big question. Did you write with that asshole again?
No. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And he would call me every couple of years and say, man, I can't believe you're not writing. We wrote one song and it was a hit. And I'm just thinking, nope. Nope.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I don't know. That's like, I play the game a little more, I guess, than you, because I would have written him with his dumb ass again.
I don't know. No, man, I was a hothead when I was younger. I would get butthurt about shit, and I wish I wouldn't. I wish I wasn't so much, but I'm better now.
Hey, I'm better now.
I'm better now.
Okay.
I want to talk about your new record. It's called Churches. Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell us all about it.
Well, it's a different record than it would have been if this pandemic didn't happen. I bet everybody, can attest to like the differences that the pandemic has made in their lives. I mean, and this is like not this is not a tragedy one. This is just like I got more time with it. I even wrote more songs. There were like, there are probably like 4 to 5 more songs on this record. Because of and also how we dialed them in, and I was present for a lot of more production and I really got to like choose from a larger pot of songs, and this is the most songs I've ever put on record. I think just like 14 or something like that. Wow. But I don't think I've ever gone over 11 or 12 maybe, but yeah, it's and I feel like. I don't know. I definitely feel like it's some of my best, like, kind of shit poetically. And I'm really like, Mike got extra time production wise, and we really, I don't know. I feel great about the record as a whole. I mean, it has a lot of information on it. I mean, Churches was one of the first songs that I wrote for this record. I feel like I knew I was going to call the record Churches after that song, and I don't even think that song will be a single, but it's my most like dare I say political song to date. I guess I wrote it with Dan Wilson. I was thrilled to be writing with for the first time, and I remember like and this is like we talked all day. Like, this is a person I really wanted. His perspective is so unique and deep, and I mean, this is a guy who's like in a cool band, had a big hit, and then became like a big songwriter and producer as well. He just like, he's fascinating and a wonderful guy. And, so we talked for like hours, and I remember like kind of starting to panic a little inside toward the last like couple hours, like, fuck, I got to get something to this dude, like, I don't want to leave. Yeah. I had the next day, but I just like, I didn't want it to be that thing where, you just talk and then nothing happens. And I don't know, I started messing around with this thing on the ukulele. And I had that title, Churches, again, like we were saying, like, we just have a title that doesn't sound, it's not profound, but then I had a story, it's like I was sightseeing in St. Petersburg, at a private show that I was hired to do. And I was doing a lot of them in like 2014 and 15, and you sightsee one day. We were sightseeing, and they kept trying to make me put something on my head because I was a woman walking into these churches, and I just couldn't do it. I'm like, I believe in God. I'm like a God person, but I can't like I'm always just like the organized religion thing just always kind of sets me off on the wrong foot, just like, why? But anyway, so I wrote about that, and I feel like that, I don't know if that gave the record a tone, but it definitely, I don't know, it felt like it's an important record for me, it's like, it felt very, a lot of things happened. I went through another relationship cycle. I don't know, you can hear all that, like, like friends of mine that have listened to it, that have known my life for the last 2 or 3 years, are like, wow, it's like definitely definitely all in there.
So it's maybe more personal than your other work.
Oh no, they're all personal.
Okay.
But I think it's another, about the dialing in and becoming more of yourself, and being able to, like, I think I stretched out as a songwriter a bit, It's definitely a songwriter record, and when you could tell, like, certain things, like, I think that's one thing I can tell sometimes when I feel like and I try to keep those kind of songs away from my records, the ones that sound songwritery, but I'm saying, like, this is, like, it's not a songwritery record, but I think there's some good songs on there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard Goodbye is out, right? I listened to that, and the lyrics are great, man. I mean, really, the lyrics are amazing. Like, I shouldn't say this, but I think it's true. They're better lyrics than some of the genre stuff, Yeah,
what's my genre?
Well, that's a good one. I guess you're a pop, sort of, but you are alt. I don't know. You kind of have your own sound. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's what I was saying before. Like, it's like difficult, and when I say it, I always have to preface that I'm not coming from some lofty, douchey place that, like, it can't be classified in a genre, but it really isn't really that. I think the songs are difficult to classify, and then my voice, like, I mean, when I do shows, they're fucking rock shows, really, but I'm not and I am sort of a rock singer. I mean, and that's what I kind of thought I was going to be, but it took on more. It's like it's a little bit all over the place, and that was the difficulty with getting through. But I think for me that's what also can make things special sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And whatever genre it is, it's a 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify genre. That's about all you need.
Yeah, we just dipped below 5.
Well, there you go. So I don't know that I think we're in a different era now.
Yeah.
People don't really care what genre things are. They just know what they like,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Totally. And I think, like someone like Billie Eilish kind of, like, shows us that a lot, they just does what she's feeling, and it's like, it's great. It's beautiful,
That's a great example. What genre is she? I mean,
I have no idea.
Performance artist almost, and a pop idol. That's a weird combination,
Yeah, it's cool, and I think things are moving more and more toward that, because also, because first of all, I don't know, I'm always striving to do stuff and have some landscape to, like, the record. I always use that word, but I think I don't want to, like, I want it to be a bit of a journey for people, so they can, like, have different moods. And I'm very mood driven in my life and in my work, and I'm not always in the same fucking mood.
Yeah. Well, and that makes total sense because you're putting out an album. A lot of people don't even do that. I mean, you're doing a whole collection of songs, and like you said, you're going to move them through a journey.
And I think, because also as an artist, I want a marker in time. Like, I want to leave a body of work. That's what I'm interested in. I don't mean leave like, but I want to collect a body of work and have and keep moving so that I can see where I was, what happened, like the growth and all that shit, and I'm like, I enjoy that aspect of it. It's like when you have home movies of things, that, like, you're like, oh wow, that was my 18th birthday.
Yeah, like little snapshots of your life. Do you have plans to tour yet after the pandemic and everything?
Oh yeah,
that's still coming?
Yeah. I mean, I'm already. I'll be out in September in Europe a bunch, and then some festivals and some of my own shows, and then I start, like, I think, like, January 10th. Like, we start and don't stop for, like, till, like, the summer, I think.
Wow! So that's a U.S. tour starting in January.
No, I think the first thing is Europe, and then some Russia, Eastern Europe stuff, and then some South American, Mexican stuff, and then America, and then back to Europe. And, like,
wow! So you're worldwide popular. Those are some interesting places that people don't
Yeah.
usually go.
Yeah. Well,
Russia.
I just took off like 2 years after Lost and New and everything hit in Europe. It hit in Mexico and South America. And I still have songs on the charts down there from my last record,
Wow.
and from that first, that one before it. So it's wild, it's like, and then I was, during the pandemic, I was about to get to Australia for the first time. I had a lot of shows down there and festivals and stuff, and now also my stuff seems to be like, and on this next record, we're going like, we've been going, seeing some stuff in Asia and stuff. So always interesting and an adventure. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been home much except for the pandemic in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Do you like live gigs? Do you like traveling in
I
the whole
do.
life?
I love it. Yeah, I really do. I love people. I love connecting with people. I love seeing the effect of what,
Right.
we do.
Right.
Like I tell, Nate and Mike, I call it like reporting from the field, you know what I mean? Because I come back to them because they don't get to see it, like the way I get to see it, and then I sit there on stage with all these people singing with me, and I think like, wow, what a gift, like what a responsibility too. Like that's what, like, I think that's been nice, to like take that responsibility and that feeling in the last couple of records into the work too. I'm always writing for me, but I'm like, thinking about what's gonna please these people that started to like, follow me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what do you ever think when you're working on a record of what's going to work live and where it fit in the show and stuff? Or
yes
is that
and
later?
no. Yes and no, but because if I really thought about how it was going to be live, I probably would write stuff a half step down. I was like, Jesus Christ, wow. But yeah, it's I do, and I can tell like this record, this next record that's coming out, it's gonna be super fun live. Like even we were just rehearsing it recently, and you could really feel the next lift from the new shit. It was like, these songs feel great, and I'm really excited. I think, this whole year and right now, it's like I feel like I'm just like pulling back the bow, and it's gonna let it loose.
Awesome. I think you're right. I'm hoping that everyone listening can find you here in the U.S. We have some listeners international, but I hope when you get going in the U.S., I know people are going to want to come out and see you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll be in May, like I believe it's April, May, June, or something like that, and that's all. It's all set up. I mean, I'll be all over the U.S. And I don't know where I'm playing. Oh, I think I'm playing a Ryman in Nashville.
Oh, killer! All right,
yeah,
that's a great. Have you played there before, or would this be the first time?
I have. I opened up for Brian Ferry there in 2016 or something like that. Yeah, right before my shit kicked off and started to go, and I was on a tour with him, and it was cool.
Right on. Well, man, I'm not going to keep up any more of your time, but I really, really appreciate you being on the show with us.
Thank you so much.
It's been such a great episode. I love to hear. It's really nice of you to share inside stuff about your writing, and you're so open about everything you've done and how it's all worked. People are really going to appreciate hearing that. So
yeah, man, I just, again, I just like, songwriters, man, like it's such a deep emotional business, and we like, there's so much that goes into it, and like, and the fact that, we don't have much control ultimately, but the only thing we can control, like, I was saying, it was like, is how many songs you write, and to keep going back to the well over and over again, and keep writing, and it does so much, because it moves you forward as a songwriter. It also it makes you like, you can't be ignored after a while. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And no one, the best part is no one can stop you from doing it. No guy behind a desk, nobody can, they don't, not yet anyway, they don't come to your house and rip the guitar out of your hands. It's like, it's you can do it. You can get it down on a computer, on anything, and keep moving yourself forward like that. I mean, that's the beauty of it. And it's still very difficult, but I think it's something that could be worked at.
It's great. It's great advice, and it's 100% true. Your destiny is in your own hands, even in a business, like you said, that requires a lot of hustle and a lot of stuff is out of your control. But I still believe if you can write a good enough song, something's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's brutally subjective, this business,
That's the other thing.
But it's, but I'm telling you, man, I've seen it over and over again. If you keep, it's like anything, of course, but if you keep going at it, except that songwriting kind of like it's not the same as like learning guitar and playing every day for 8 hours. It's like, right. But it is,
yeah.
But it's just a different thing. It's like, because at the end of the day, if you wrote 5 songs in that day, depending on who listens to them, who evaluates them, they could be the best or the worst, like we don't know. And that's what separates the kids from the adults in the business, is that like, you ultimately can't give a shit, and because you got it, like, how many songwriters, like they pour over like a song for like days and nothing happens with it. And they write something that they're joking around about in an hour and a half and it becomes the thing. I mean, So, I think one of the biggest things also for me with songwriting was that like, I felt like, I just realized, that it was, you never know. I lost my train of thought because I started to think about how like.
Well, one thing and then I'm gonna let you go, but you said it was interesting. One of your biggest hits you didn't know, and I've heard that's a common story. People would think that you do know that this is going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. No. A
No.
lot of times you don't know. It's just a song you wrote.
And it's also the kiss of death. You've been in those rooms where like people like, oh my God, this song's going to get synced like 8,000. Not one fucking sync ever in its life. It's like the kiss of death. I wish I could remember what the hell I was going to say, but I think, just crank them out, kids.
Yeah, crank them out. That's a great advice. Well, LP, thank you so much for being on Pitch List. I can't wait to see what you're doing. The things I've heard from your new record are fantastic, so everybody check that out.
Tune in next week when I'm on Bitch List.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
bud.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch List, produced in partnership with the American Songwriter Podcast Network. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcast or your preferred listening platform. And if you want, feel free to leave us a 5-star rating and review. For exclusive content from this week's guest and more, you can visit our website at pitchlistpodcast.com or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. To hear songs written and or recorded by today's guest, check out this week's playlist by finding us on Spotify at Pitch List Podcast. Plus, don't forget to let us know on social media what songwriter, musician, or music business professional you want to hear from next. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.